Now picture a lush tropical island in the southern Pacific, home to just 300,000 people, yet poised to make history. Bougainville, an autonomous region of Papua New Guinea, is on the cusp of potentially becoming the world's youngest country, the 194th member of the United Nations, following in the footsteps of South Sudan. But the path to nationhood is far from straightforward. With a critical agreement signed in June 2025 and a presidential election looming on 4th September, the question is, 1. Can Bougainville succeed where others such as New Caledonia, Catalonia and Scotland have stumbled? And 2. Will it outpace Somaliland in the race to global recognition? Let's dive into this remarkable story. Welcome to Bougainville, a land shaped by history and struggle. This cluster of islands lying east of Papua New Guinea's mainland is a place of stunning beauty and deep scars. Its main island, also called Bougainville, is fringed by coral reefs dotted with volcanic peaks and rich in copper and gold. But its history is defined by a struggle for nationhood that stretches back decades. The roots of this quest for independence can be traced back to the 1960s, when Bougainvilleans began questioning their place in the newly forming nation of Papua New Guinea, which gained independence from Australia in 1975. Even before that, in 1968, local leaders proposed a referendum to decide whether Bougainville should stay with Papua New Guinea, join the Solomon Islands, or go it alone. No vote was held then, but the seeds of independence were sown. The turning point came in the late 1980s, sparked by the Panguna copper mine, once a cornerstone of Papua New Guinea's economy, contributing 45% of its exports. The Panguna copper mine brought wealth to the national government, but left Bougainvilleans with environmental devastation and little economic benefit. Frustration boiled over into a civil war between 1988 and 1998, pitting the Bougainville Revolutionary Army against Papua New Guinea's military. The conflict claimed thousands of lives and displaced many more. It wasn't until the 2001 Bougainville Peace Agreement that the fighting stopped. That agreement promised Bougainville autonomy and, crucially, a referendum on independence to be held within 10 to 15 years. Fast forward to 23rd November 2019, after years of preparation, Bougainvilleans finally got their chance to vote. The referendum, overseen by the Bougainville Referendum Commission and chaired by Bertie Ahern, a former Prime Minister of Ireland, offered two choices: greater autonomy within Papua New Guinea or full independence. The result was staggering. More than 97% of the people voted for independence. But the vote was non-binding. It meant that Papua New Guinea's national parliament held the final say. Yet the overwhelming margin made it hard for Papua New Guinea to ignore the result. John Momis, the then president of Bougainville, said at the time that psychologically they felt liberated. But liberation on paper is one thing, turning it into reality is quite another. In June 2025, a significant milestone was reached. After years of stalled negotiations, Papua New Guinea and Bougainville signed what is known as the Melanesian Relationship Agreement. Signed by Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister James Marape and Bougainville's President Ishmael Toroama, the agreement charts a path for the referendum results to be tabled in Papua New Guinea's parliament. The agreement acknowledges the legitimacy of Bougainville's 97.7% vote for independence. It calls for a peaceful and enduring relationship between the two. Among other things, it also commits both sides to a public awareness campaign to educate their citizens about the referendum and its implications. President Toroama, a former rebel commander who helped negotiate the 2001 peace agreement, called the signing a defining moment for Bougainville's aspirations. But not everyone is so optimistic. Papua New Guinea's government, led by Prime Minister Marape, faces a delicate balancing act. While Marape has reaffirmed his commitment to the constitutional process, he is cautious about setting a firm timeline for independence. Why? Well, for one, there is the fear of a domino effect. Other provinces such as East New Britain and New Ireland have floated ideas of autonomy. If Bougainville breaks away, it could inspire similar movements threatening Papua New Guinea's unity. Economic concerns also loom large. Bougainville relies heavily on Papua New Guinea for its budget, and the Panguna mine, shuttered since 1989, remains a contentious issue. Estimated to hold over $80 billion in copper and gold, the mine could be a game changer for an independent Bougainville. But reopening it would take years and massive investment. Some Bougainvillians themselves have doubts. Some Bougainvillian officials admit that the region is nowhere near ready for independence. They cite the need for stronger institutions and a viable economy. Then there is the question of the parliamentary vote itself. The Melanesian agreement does not specify whether a simple majority or a two-thirds majority is needed to ratify the referendum. It's a sticking point that could make or break Bougainville's dreams. A two-thirds threshold would be much harder to achieve given potential opposition from lawmakers wary of secession. Bougainville's journey isn't unique. Across the globe, regions such as New Caledonia, Catalonia, Scotland and Somaliland have all wrestled with similar quests for independence with mixed results. In New Caledonia, a French territory in the Pacific, 3 referendums between 2018 and 21 saw voters reject independence, though the process was marred by boycotts from the indigenous Kanak population, who felt that the timing of the final vote during the COVID-19 pandemic was unfair. Unlike Bougainville's unified voice, New Caledonia's divided society and France's firm grip have stalled its ambitions. Catalonia's 2017 referendum in Spain was declared illegal by the Spanish government, leading to a crackdown and the exile of separatist leaders. Despite strong regional identity, Catalonia's push lacks international support, a hurdle Bougainville may also face if Papua New Guinea delays or denies ratification. Scotland's 2014 referendum saw 55% vote to stay in the UK, but the issue remains alive, with Brexit fueling calls for another vote. Scotland benefits from a stable economy and global recognition of its cultural identity, advantages that Bougainville lacks. But Scotland's dependence on the UK approval mirrors Bougainville's reliance on Papua New Guinea's parliament. Somaliland, a self-declared state since 1991, is perhaps Bougainville's closest parallel. Despite functioning as a stable nation with its own government and currency, Somaliland lacks international recognition, largely because Somalia claims it as its own. Bougainville could face a similar fate if it declares independence unilaterally, a path Toroama has hinted at if Parliament blocks the referendum. But unlike Somaliland, Bougainville's process is enshrined in a peace agreement and backed by UN oversight, giving it a stronger legal footing. As Bougainville approaches its 4 September election, all eyes are on President Toroama, who is running for re-election on his promise to deliver independence by 2027. His challengers, including pro-China candidate Sam Kwana, reflect the geopolitical stakes. China has shown interest in Bougainville's resources, eyeing it for its Belt and Road Initiative, while Australia and New Zealand remain key regional players. The election's outcome could shape Bougainville's foreign alliances and its readiness for nationhood. But readiness is a concern. Bougainville's budget dependence and undeveloped infrastructure raise doubts about its viability as a sovereign state. However, President Toroama insists that political independence must come first. He argues that sovereign powers will enable economic decisions such as reopening the Panguna mine. Others dismiss the need for economic preconditions, pointing out that Papua New Guinea wasn't economically independent when it broke from Australia in 1975. So can Bougainville make history? Will it become the world's newest nation? The 2019 referendum sent a clear message, and the Melanesian Relationship Agreement has brought it closer to reality. But the final hurdle, Papua New Guinea's parliament, remains uncertain. If ratified, Bougainville could join the UN as its 194th member, a beacon of hope for small nations. If not, President Toroama's 2027 deadline suggests a unilateral declaration might be on the table, though that risks international isolation. Unlike New Caledonia, Catalonia or Scotland, Bougainville's struggle is rooted in a bloody civil war and a legally mandated process giving it unique legitimacy. Yet, much like Somaliland, it faces the challenge of convincing the world to recognize its sovereignty. Whether Bougainville becomes a new nation or not, only time will tell. For now, Bougainville stands at a crossroads.